everyone, welcome back. It's Gabby. Today I'm going to be doing a book review on Fallen by Lauren Kate. Okay, so I have some mixed feelings about this book. By the way, I listened to the audiobook and I thought it was fantastic. Basically, the narrator is great, the pace goes really quickly, it's a really good audiobook to listen to. Okay, so back to my mixed feelings. When I first finished the book, I quite enjoyed it. I was really intrigued about where the story was going to be going, but as I was writing down my thoughts for this review and writing my review for Goodreads, I changed my mind. So I did give this book a 3 out of 5 stars. That hasn't changed. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars when I did my May wrap up and June TBR, so I still stand by 3 out of 5 stars. But I don't think I'm going to be continuing on with this series. This is just going to be one of those series where I just read the first one and kind of done. Okay, I'm not going to mention any spoilers in this review. However, if you read the synopsis, you will be spoiled. So let's start by giving a synopsis of this book. We follow our main character. She is 17 years old. Her name is Lucinda, but she goes by Luce. And she is sent to a reform school called Sword and Cross after she is involved in a tragic accident where one of her classmates, or love interest at the time, dies in a fire. Luce is unable to give any details of the incident, so she gets shipped off to this reform school. At this school, she meets this mysterious boy named Daniel, and of course Daniel has his mysteries. Luce has this undeniable, unexplainable connection to Daniel. She feels like she has known him for a very long time, and so she is just trying to kind of figure out his secrets, and of course crazy stuff happens. Now, if you are highly interested in this book, I do not suggest reading the synopsis, because the synopsis tells you a little bit of Daniel's history, and it tells you exactly kind of what he is, since, you know, there are secrets about him. We don't find out, and Luce doesn't find out what Daniel, like his secrets and what he is, until about a fourth remaining of the book. So I think the book would have been a lot more interesting if I hadn't have known kind of what was already going on, but we are told what he is, and I really don't want to mention it. Next, let's talk about the plot and the writing style. The book flowed very well, and the pace was very quick. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, this is a really good book to listen to on audiobook just because the narrator has a calm, cool voice and paces very quickly. So there's not a lot of wordy description where it makes the audiobook, you know, where it's going to take hours and hours and hours and hours to get through this book. The plot was definitely intriguing, but the ending got really weird. For the first half of the book, the plot flowed very well. There was decent transitions, but then once we got to the ending, it was just like event happened after event after event, and there was no transitioning between each event. It just kind of, it was very choppy. The ending was overwhelming and really weird. How can I describe this without giving spoilers? Okay, so every character in this book was pretty much involved in like the major conflict at the end. I know that's very vague, and I hope it's not too confusing. It's very important for, you know, every character in a book to have a purpose, but it can be a small purpose. It can just be comedic relief. It can be there to add a little bit of drama. It, you know, maybe explain something that kind of ties in further along, but every single character doesn't necessarily have to have like a huge important role. And it just, that's how the ending was. It was like a side character that you didn't really spend much time with, all of a sudden was like a major character to the conflict and kind of like the war at the end. Also, there wasn't much resolution in the ending. There needs to be a big overall conflict of the series along with individual conflicts in each book. Well, this book just, the conflict wasn't resolved. There were so many unanswered questions. The plot was moving along at a pretty decent pace, and then, you know, basically we get to that climax where all hell breaks loose, and then the book kind of just stops. There's really no resolution. There are too many unanswered questions for my liking. Okay, so I'm sure I've confused you enough about plot issues, so let's move on to the characters. The main character was so whiny. Oh my gosh, she was annoying, she was self-conceited, she just she was like conveniently good at everything. Even though she's not very badass, she just really annoyed me. I did really like Daniel. He is the typical male brooding character trope. He doesn't say much. He's kind of mean at first to her, you know, and then softens up, you know, just the typical brooding male character trope. But I did like him. Another important character is Cam. Cam was kind of the second love interest possibly, but he's kind of in the middle. He's not necessarily a friend, but he's also not placed for a love triangle, which that bothered me a little bit. He was just kind of in the middle. I wish that maybe he had been either one. Some books have love triangles and they're done very well. They're just, you know, it's overused, but some love triangles work very well for stories. This one I think could have possibly worked well. Luz makes two friends at this school, Pen and Arian, and I loved these two characters. Pen is very sassy. She is very sweet and genuine and intelligent. I really liked her. And then Arian, she is completely different. She is very quirky. She isn't one for the rules. She's just different, has her own style, and I really enjoyed her character, and I really enjoyed her relationship with Luz. And of course there are a lot of other kind of side characters that I'm not really gonna dive too much in, but for the most part, most of the characters are likable except for Luz. And oh, I wanted to mention, I was so sick of hearing how much Luz was holding her breath. Every single sentence was that Luz had to catch her breath, or she had to release her breath, or she realized she wasn't breathing. Daniel, you know, took the breath out of her. It was just, too much holding of breaths. Lastly, I just kind of want to skim over the relationship between Daniel and Luz. It's very insta-love, and it's too insta-love. I can get behind a lot of insta-love relationships. One that comes to mind is Twilight, but this one, it's too much. They barely have any sort of conversation, and even though I like the idea of kind of Luz having this deja vu feeling towards Daniel, it wasn't expanded. They needed to talk more and make it a tad more realistic. Alright, well that is it for my review on Fallen by Lauren Kate. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. I don't think I'm going to be continuing on with the series. Comment down below, let me know if you have read this series and kind of what your thoughts were on it. Maybe I'm being a little too harsh. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and of course don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I will see you next time with another video. Bye!